Hi, this is ESPN's Dave Lamont, and you're listening to the Sports Objective Podcast, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
Welcome into the Sports Objective here on a Thursday evening, and we are glad to have, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from LaGrange, Kyle from LaGrange Barber. How are you, man?
What's going on, Dave? How y'all doing? Just got home not long ago. I want to say again, as we have in the show, that our thoughts and prayers are with Stevie Fly and his family as he lost his dad on Tuesday morning, I believe it was. So, again, as we said last night, I'll say it again tonight, thoughts and prayers to Stevie and his family.
Absolutely. I hadn't had a chance to say that publicly, and we think a lot of Stevie and just another sports podcast, and that's going to be every week. We have a lot of great programming coming up, another new show, and I know you and Stevie are going to be great.
And the first episode was last night without Stevie. Bubba filled in. We had Andrew Bays on, so if you hadn't had a chance to listen to it, go back. Andrew Bays stayed on for the entirety of the show, so go back and listen to it if you hadn't had a chance to.
I can't wait to do that myself. Well, let's bring in a great man from the state of Connecticut, Matthew Semenza. Matt, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? I'm just trying to spend a lot of time trying to keep up with this realignment situation. You know, we've talked about a lot of this stuff, but it seems to change by the day a little bit. And I'll tell you guys, really, what's on my mind tonight, which might be a little different than the previous nights, is I want to see some passion from ECU leadership. You know, I'd like to see somebody out in front, somebody who's vocal, somebody who's working the media outlets and trying to sell the program. Because right now it's just not happening.
Yeah. You like my gospel music in the background there, please, Matt?
Very nice.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I agree with you 100%. You know, when you got SMU trying to join the ACC and they're in our conference.
And the Pac-12, don't forget that.
Well, that's not relevant to me to this point because we don't have any schools in this state in the Pac-12 where we do North Carolina State. And, maybe Gilbert did reach out behind the scenes and told her and asked Roy Cooper to tell North Carolina State, if you're going to vote to add anybody from East Carolina's conference, in this case SMU from the American, then you have to vote to include East Carolina. And it would not have gotten us in the ACC, but what it would have done would have ensured that SMU didn't get into the ACC, which is good for the American, which is good for East Carolina. And it's just no public statements like that. It just bothers me. I'm with Matt.
Yeah, and what it does is it draws attention to the school itself. And maybe what it does is it opens eyes around the country, right? So if you're some guy in Iowa who doesn't know much about East Carolina,
right?
He hears a public statement and he's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll go check this out. Maybe there's more to this. Now, all of a sudden it creates, just some more knowledge about the program. But, you'd like to see just some passion, somebody vocal from East Carolina, at the very least, just to know that they're working on this behind the scenes.
Well, Terry Holland, he wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't shut up. And at the end of the day, when you look at the American, we were the only team taken that wasn't in a major market.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Here's the thing, guys. For me, I know, Matt, we were talking in the green room. For me, what this is about is leadership. This is about, for me, selling the program. And when you guys hit the nail on the head there, listen, if you want to know how to be an athletic director, you have to build relationships. And when it comes to Terry Holland, if Terry Holland were still alive and he called someone, they would pick up the phone. And that's the one thing we have missing is that very fact. We have to have leadership at East Carolina that sells our program and really truly believes, people get mad at in the Ward Sports Medicine building when I get on them because they don't believe we're big time. And they can get mad at me for saying that, but we are big time. And I wish that they would, if we are big time, then I wish that they would treat us as if they were at Tennessee or Alabama and say, look, guys, we need to be in the ACC. We don't have probably a 0% chance of getting the ACC, but at least do something, try it, because I'm not anti-American. I like Mike Oresco a lot as commissioner, but the fact of the matter is, it's all, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like right now, every man for himself. And so we got to do what's best for East Carolina.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now that we've all said that, we'll talk about things that were rumored. Dave, you said you heard that the ACC schools right now, there are 4 members that are vehemently against adding SMU, Cal, and Stanford. That would keep it from going to a vote. So let's hope it stays that way. If one more, if they can get one to change their mind, they can put it to a vote.
Correct.
So we'll see. Hopefully SMU stays. Will Stanford, Cal, Washington State, Oregon State merge with the Mountain West to kind of reform a Pac-12 with mostly Mountain West schools? Will they look at the American? This is really what I think will happen or could happen. I think there's a strong chance of it. And I really hadn't even heard anybody talk about this. This is just something that I think could end up happening. And this is all me, but it makes sense to me. If the ACC says no, I really believe Cal and Stanford may go independent in football. Washington State and Oregon State can't do that. Or Cal and Stanford may decide they want to join a conference. I think those 4, or at least 2 of the 4, are going to end up joining either the American or the Mountain West football only. And the Pac-12 is going to end up surviving as a non-football league. And those 4 will add the likes of Gonzaga, Pepperdine, Fullerton, and play basketball, baseball, et cetera, in that league, which really for Stanford, the other sports are more important. And it would be, you still have, if you did that, you still have one hell of a basketball league. You put Gonzaga with that group. You'd have one hell of a baseball league. You put Pepperdine, Fullerton, Long Beach with Oregon State and Stanford. So it would still be one hell of a league, and then they could play, ideally, the 4 of them playing football in the American. That would be, to me, the perfect scenario. But we'll see how it all plays out. It could end up being a betting war between the American and the Mountain West for those 4 schools. And that's going to come down to whose TV partner is going to get more involved, the Mountain West with Fox or ESPN with the American.
Yeah, and if this rumor about the ACC rejecting the 4 teams, if that's 100% accurate,
three teams.
I'm sorry, 3 teams. I agree with them wholeheartedly. I really do, because I don't think those 3 teams move the needle for the ACC. As a matter of fact,
Right.
What I think it does is it actually waters down the league a little bit. So I would agree with that. In particular, you look at SMU and, this conversation of, adding the Dallas market just amuses me because, let's face it, the reason why SMU is in the conversation is because of the Dallas market.
Well, that and Matt, under the new format, they got a lot of money. They're already playing players starting last year, $30,000 a year, and some will probably get more than that for all sports, for basketball and baseball. Excuse me, basketball and football.
Right.
So in the new format with NIL, SMU is about to become a power somewhere.
Yeah, and they definitely have a lot of money. But, it reminds me a little bit of the Big Ten when they added Rutgers, because the claim to fame was, hey, we're going to add the New York TV market, which that proved. I mean, nobody in New York cares about Rutgers football.
No.
So
how many people in New Jersey?
I mean, you do have a base of people, but nobody in New Jersey is rearranging their day for Rutgers football. It just doesn't happen. But Kyle makes a good point. SMU does have a ton of money, but I just think that if this is true, the ACC did the right thing, because I think, Stanford is a national brand. Cal, to me, I don't think Cal brings anything to the table.
None.
I really don't. I don't believe they bring much value to the table. So I think they're just trying to ride Stanford's coattails.
Absolutely.
At this time.
Yeah, saying Cal and Stanford. One of you guys was getting text messages like crazy. Cal and Stanford, they don't add much value to the ACC, but they do to the American. And here's my analogy I used earlier, or in some group I was texting with. Let's say they increase revenue by $5 million per school by adding Cal and Stanford. In our case, Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State. Well, increasing it by $5 million per school to us is a lot of money. That takes us from $8 million to $13 million. But for the ACC, it takes them from $30 million per school to $35 million per school. That doesn't really move the needle. And I guess you could say $5 million is $5 million, but they add a lot more value to the American than they do the ACC. It makes perfect sense for the American to want to do it if we can get it done. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the ACC.
Yeah, well, it comes down to, I think, the academic piece. It's the only thing that for me for value. But otherwise, guys, we got a lot of comments here tonight. So
what do you mean the academic piece? You don't think having that exposure on the West Coast and the increased television revenue that it would bring us if we could get them in our conference would matter?
Oh, you're talking about, no, I'm talking about I was talking about the ACC. But
no, it doesn't help the ACC. I don't think it helps the ACC at all, except unless ESPN told them, hey, look, you get us a Pacific Coast time slot, then we're going to give you another $10 million per school. But to me, if you're going to do that, then go ahead and add all four of them. Take Washington State and Oregon State too. And just leave SMU the hell alone. I don't understand that. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, let's do some quick comments here. Let's see. First off, Elliot. Hey, Dave and all. Quick question. The new radio announcer that is taking Jeff Charles' place. Is he temporary for the full football season, or they are accepting applications? Thanks. Elliot, so what they did is he's interim for this year. And apparently John Gilbert wants to do interim. And I didn't even get a chance to tell the guys in the green room this, but I know this for a fact. Gilbert, anytime he wants to do an interim on an interim basis, would be hiring somebody on the outside. So they hired Jim Zoki for the football season for this year, and then they're going to reopen everything in March. So I do know that for a fact.
I wonder if there's any chance Zoki, I don't know how tight.
What if he catches on?
Well, and he's still working for the Panthers as a color analyst, and he's got obligations right now for Furman basketball with Winthrop basketball. Yeah. But, if we love him and he loves us, I have no problem. I wonder how fast he can get out of those commitments. I mean, and I guess he could go ahead and finish out those commitments with Panthers and Winthrop, and then take over in the full-time role next season after doing interim football this year. Just have let Scooter do basketball.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys. I do know for a fact that Matt, I don't know if you know or Kyle knows, but David Tepper is like really difficult to work for. And Zoki is a huge Panthers guy. I mean, this is his 29th season with the Panthers. Not to get off the rails too much, but just to let you guys know where the backstory. Jim was a finalist and they didn't pick him. He's an in-house guy. Tepper went outside and picked somebody, the new announcer.
To be clear, if anybody who doesn't follow the NFL closely, that's the owner of the Carolina Panthers.
Thank you.
Zoki put in for the job. He's a color analyst. He put in for the job as the play-by-play guy and did not get it. So
when Mick retired, Mixon, yep. So it makes perfect sense if he catches on. Jim is a professional. He's great. I like the fact that we have him. So we'll see how it all plays out. But that's what's going on behind the scenes of the Panthers.
I would hope. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the color analyst gets for the Panthers network, but I would hope if you're calling our baseball, if you're calling our basketball and football games, I would think you would make more money.
He's not. Yeah, he's not he's like a pregame guy.
Okay.
He's not, and he's on the broadcast. But he's not the analyst. He's more like what would you say? A producer. Well, he's not a producer. He's on air, but he helps with the pregame.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
the Marty Fuhr type guy for us.
Right.
If he catches on and he wants a job permanently, wants to leave the Charlotte area, we'll see.
All right, here we go. We have this is random night tonight. Shell says Terry Holland was a very well respected nationally. Absolutely. Again, if you want to look at what Terry did a decade ago or more, then check that out. Brandon, here's another one, guys. He says that CBS Sports releases the college football playoff bowl projections for 2023 East Carolina versus James Madison in the Camellia Bowl.
Yeah.
That game will be in Montgomery, Alabama on December 23rd. I don't take any. That's just the three of us right here.
That means about as much as, okay, the Sports Objective predicts East Carolina will play we'll play Georgia Southern in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. There you go. That's the official sports projection pick. There you go.
All right, here's Elliot. I wanted to bring his up. Let's see if it'll. There we go. He says, Dave, every single football game where UNC, Virginia Tech, I guess he meant NC State, went to Greenville, it's always a sellout. Look at all the revenue, Dave. I could care less about playing teams like Rice. Elliot misunderstand what I was saying. I was talking about, it's not that I wouldn't want to be in the ACC. And obviously we would sell more games at the ACC. What I was saying is we don't have a chance to get in the ACC because we would be the fifth school in it. I have no problems being the ACC.
Yeah, of course we want the ACC. Yeah,
it's not us. I'm not saying I'm not protecting the ACC, Elliot. So I don't know how I came across.
East Carolina has never turned down an invitation to the ACC.
Nope. Let's see. Shell says Cal and Stanford will not come to the ACC. Stanford has a $29 billion endowment. And all cash, Cal has $9 billion.
Cal and Stanford will not come to the ACC, or do you mean AAC?
Sure. No, he's done with the ACC.
I don't understand what he just said contradicts himself. He's talking about their endowments and how they wouldn't go to the ACC. That doesn't make any sense.
Because he's saying they have plenty of money, they could even go.
Yeah, they're trying to go to the ACC. He had to have meant AAC, or what he said does not make any sense.
No, I think he meant the ACC because they don't.
Couldn't have. Put it back up there.
It says Cal and Stanford will not come to the ACC. Stanford has a $29 billion endowment and all cash.
That makes no sense, Dave. It makes no sense. They're trying to get in the ACC. He had to mean AAC.
All right. Well, I mean, he can. Let's see.
Clarify that, Shell. If you meant ACC, explain what you mean. Yeah, but I think you meant AAC. All
right, and let's see. Elliot says, "Bring us ACC teams. All motels are sold out. Look out at the money." Elliot, again, if you're, I agree with that. So I don't understand that, but I think you misunderstood that I'm not anti-ACC. I was just simply saying.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, Elliot. I mean, trust me. We everybody in Pirate Nation wants to play more ACC schools.
Absolutely,
without question, we all do. But they refuse to play us at this point. First of all, they don't want to come to Greenville anymore. Virginia Tech has backed out of that series. We have to strong arm NC State or UNC to try to get them to come to Greenville. So it's obviously something we all want, but the ACC views East Carolina right now at this particular time. They view us as the type of game where there's nothing to win.
Stepchild.
Now we all disagree with that. And we know that's not true, but that's how they see it. So, unfortunately, Elliot, as much as we all want it, I wouldn't get my hopes, too up.
Don't bet the house or the farm on it. Peanut Butter Hero says Tepper is destroying the Panthers if he didn't already do it. He said, made me want to find a new team. He said that David Tepper is equal to Jeff Comfort. Oh, my. But anyway, and let's see, Shell's saying the academics would never come to the AAC.
There you go. Okay. I knew he had to mean AAC.
Nobody in Pirate Nation, let's see. Or Brandon says, nobody in Pirate Nation likes this AAC conference. It's absolutely disgrace. I don't think here's the thing. I don't think that my thing is, like I said before, to me it was a mixed bag because not to rehash, but I was looking in the map the other day, guys. I really liked out of the 6 teams, I liked 3 out of the 6. I liked UAB, I liked UTSA, and I liked FAU.
Yeah,
and everybody knows made sense. So I had a hybrid of 3 markets and 3 teams I wanted in.
Yeah,
I
wanted App State. Your hybrid was my hybrid.
Yeah, App State. I said Marshall and ODU. Were my 3.
I could flip flop with Marshall, and I could flip flop ODU and Southern Miss either way, but I would understand ODU with market. But
yeah,
I've been saying that the whole time. But where we're at now, let's hope somehow we get some of the Pac-12 leftovers, and we need anything we can to bolster the conference. And
No doubt.
if let's hope we don't lose anybody. If we lose SMU or Memphis or Tulane or any combination of those two or three, it's over. It's done. You can get on that train to the Sun Belt as fast as you possibly can.
All right, let's see. Right now, Thick Poppy says, "Love the podcast, guys. Me and my lady are watching right now. Go Pirates!" Thick Poppy, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Thick Poppy.
Maybe we'll actually be able to talk. Actually, at some point, if we're sitting here in August, maybe at some point we'll be able to actually talk real football, and this conference realignment stuff will be settled, at least for the time being. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
All right, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think we're good. I think we've got. I think, like I said before many times, I think this team is the deepest team year 5 under Houston. I think we're going to have a really good year. I'm really confident. I've said all along, I think a conservative, you guys, I know that Kyle doesn't agree with me, but 7-5 is what I'm going with. So I'm going to stick with 7-5 on the year. I would love for it to be.
I think we can go 7-5. I'm just not bullish. I'm just not bullish on saying 7-5 or 8-4 when we had all what we had last year and we only won 8 games. And people can say the schedule's a lot easier. When you really dissect it, it's really not. When you first look at it, it seems like it's a lot easier. But then when you really dissect it, it is really not any easier than last year's schedule was.
No, it's not that. I just think that I think the uncertainties, Matt, I'm going to bring you in, being a former Pirate middle. Sorry.
Oh, we lost Dave for a second.
Did Dave have a stroke?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, sorry. Yeah, so for me personally, I think there's a lot of talent out there. And Matt, when I was getting ready to say that you being a linebacker, I think the defense is looking great. I think the offensive line was a push, like I've said before. I think the O-line coach is really good. I think it really comes down to me, guys. Obviously, the first month, that September schedule.
Is it going to come down to quarterback play and receiver play? We're going to be able to run the ball. I think the O-line is going to be serviceable. And another thing to me, Matt, how good do you think this defense could be? I think this defense could be really good. Where do you think the ceiling is for this defense? Do you think it's good, average, really good, great, good? Using those adjectives, where would you say the ceiling is?
Well, I'll just start with this. So one of the things I've learned over the years is I try to never listen to coaches in August, because what they're going to do, and I'm going to get to your question, Kyle, but in a roundabout way. But what they do is they sell their team. They're going to tell you, we added this, we added speed, we added length, right? And maybe they genuinely feel that way, but I need to see it on Saturdays first. But to answer your question, I do feel like we're faster this year on defense. I think we have more speed. I think the middle linebackers can run. I think some of the Sam we brought in from North Carolina, Rod Dilworth, he's the guy that can run. We did add length in the secondary, a corner and safety, by all accounts. And I did see some video. I was pretty impressed with the actual video of our corners and their ability to kind of flip their hips and run. So I feel good about it on paper. But Kyle, to answer your question, I just need to see it on Saturdays, man. I'm not even ready to make a prediction yet. I think it can be a solid defense. I think it can be, very solid, but just how good we are, yet to be determined.
Right.
Okay.
All right, guys. You want to take some phone calls? 252-290-0375. And let's see here.
Can you put that on the screen, Dave, or do you have that graphic handy?
Yeah, I can put that up. We're going to go first to Shell. Shell, what's up, man? Good. What's going on? What's on your mind tonight?
We can't hear Shell, Dave.
All right, let's see. All right, give me a moment, guys. I'll keep talking.
All right. Matt, what are some of the games you're looking forward to on week 1 or week 0 besides the Pirates?
I'm looking forward to, just like last year, Florida and Utah. This time, Florida has to head out west to play at Utah. So, I think that's going to be an awesome game. And I'm hoping, obviously, I'm hoping we can make it competitive at Michigan, but, we shall see. What about you?
Well, that's the Thursday night game, Florida Utah games. I'm looking forward to that. I always love the first Thursday night of college football season. Looking forward to all the week 0 games. They're really hitting a really good matchup. Hawaii, Vandy. You got UTEP, Jacksonville State. You got UMass, New Mexico State. But all the week 0 games, just because they're the first college football you can watch. Notre Dame, Navy. So looking forward to all those. Then all the Thursday night games: Florida, Utah, Minnesota, and Minnesota plays somebody from maybe Nebraska.
Okay.
NC State, UConn is on that Thursday night also. And then if you get into the weekend, obviously I'll be watching East Carolina and Michigan, Houston, UTSA. If you want to talk about an American game that really interests me, week 1, Houston in the Big 12 now, UTSA with a very experienced football team goes on and takes on Houston with a new quarterback. I like the Roadrunners to pull the upset off in that one.
It was a great game last year, if I recall.
Yeah, it was overtime.
Absolutely. And, hopefully UTSA takes it to them. Now that Houston has decided to move on, I, wish the worst for them in the non-conference. So we'll see, man. But, week 0, to your point, Kyle, definitely you don't have that marquee game, but it's football. And
Exactly.
if there's college football, we're going to be watching it. So,
and it's 2 weeks from Saturday. Week 0 is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Unbelievable.
Tomorrow is Friday, but 2 weeks from this coming Saturday.
All right, let's try to see if you guys can hear Shell. All right, go ahead and talk, Shell.
We got nothing, Dave.
Go ahead, Shell.
I said, hey, guys, can you hear me?
It's very low volume, Dave. You can barely hear him.
Okay, go again. Go ahead, Shell.
Hey, Kyle. Hey, Matt.
Very low volume, man. It's not usable. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. But.
All right, try it again.
How about that? Is that better?
Nah.
I think that's worse, actually, Dave.
Yeah.
Worse?
Yeah. It's not any better. It's about the same.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to work on that.
We definitely need to work on that off the air, and that needs to be. We've got it to work a couple of times in the past, but we need to have that. We need to have that locked in and perfected by the playback for.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. That's not a. All right, go ahead, guys. I know we got some more things. Let's see.
I think Brandon makes a comment. We're talking about early games, LSU, and what's up, Brandon? But LSU versus FSU. Last year,
that's a good one.
Florida State shocked me last year when they beat LSU. I was not expecting that. I expect now that Brian Kelly in year 2, he really turned that ship around towards the end of the season. I expect LSU to take it to Florida State and win that game. I'm sticking with that prediction. I, as a matter of fact, I love LSU in that game to win.
I think it'll be a good game, but I think LSU wins it also. Brandon also mentioned the Tar Heels and the Gamecocks, which I know he's really excited for some reason. I hope South Carolina beats their ass.
All right, here's one from Alan Vick. As far as Mason Garcia goes, the Pirates will go. Don't be surprised to see a lot of Alex Flynn. Success normally comes down to quarterback play.
I've heard Mason has looked tremendous in practice so far, actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually can do it in the game as well as he has in practice. I don't think Flynn will see the field, but who knows? A lot can happen between now and Michigan.
It's not a matter. Let me say this again, and I'm going to pitch it to you, Matt, about it. It's not that Mason is playing bad. What happened is Alex Flynn has improved a lot, and it was a situation where there was no quarterback controversy, if you will. There was no, and all of a sudden, then Alex Flynn has been working really hard. He's improved, and so Matt. So what I'm saying is the guys, it's not that Mason has sucked. I don't want people to think that Mason is playing bad and Flynn is playing better. The deal is You got two great. The bottom line is the great thing about it is we have insurance guys. You got Mason Garcia. God forbid if something happens to him, you still have Flynn that will do well. And there's not. I don't think there's a different style of play, but I don't think as far as talent wise, I think Alex Flynn is very underrated.
I think from a pure talent standpoint, physical abilities, Mason Garcia is elite physically. The question is, how does he have it between the ears, or is Alex Flynn has it between the ears and has incredible touch? Mason has the bigger upside, but you never know if Flynn gets in the game. He could be a great game manager, and sometimes that's what you need. So I'm hoping Mason lives up to expectations. Is what I hope.
Yeah. And I think, Alan, I think Mason's the guy. I think if you listen to Mike Houston this summer in the last few weeks, he seems much more confident in Mason's ability to run the offense. But what I'll say is I think a lot of Mason's success, especially early, is going to come down to play calling. I wouldn't, a quarterback who essentially his first start, right? I mean, I know he started versus Navy years ago, but this is essentially his first start. I wouldn't throw the entire playbook at him. I would simplify a little bit. I would try to give him some very easy reads, some simple check downs, just simplify the game for him a little bit, especially early against Michigan, because what you don't want to do is put him out there in his first game in the big house and essentially just, have things fall apart to the point where his confidence gets destroyed. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to play calling, but I definitely feel like 100% Mason Garcia is the guy.
Hey, one of your buddies, a guy that you know well, speaking of linebackers, I put this on the screen, Lebiano. He was talking about Terry Holland. He said he had a PowerPoint ready in public. Just saying. So, yeah, we got to sell the program. We got to really do a better job of that. And you know what? Here's the thing, guys. Too, I want to mention. I've been very disappointed by the ticket sales. I thought we would do better this year. We've gone to a bowl 2 straight years. You would think but what it comes down to, we got to do a better job of marketing the team.
A better job of marketing, because you got to have to do something, because that home schedule ain't going to sell no tickets. So you're going to have to do something to some creative marketing, because the best 2 matchups on that, or the best 3 matchups on that schedule for home, are Marshall, SMU, which is a Thursday, and Tulane, which is in November. So, it is what it is. But I'm excited about it. But the average fan may not be. So you're going to have to market a little stronger to get them to buy tickets. Be creative. I like the idea of that UAB's doing. I'm selling some tickets at Costco. Why not sell those upper deck tickets, upper deck season tickets, the cheap ones at Sam's Club, and maybe some people that are new to Greenville or some casual fans want something to do, will just buy them at a good price.
No question. I mean, that's the thing, guys. For me personally, I love when I saw that. I love that idea because the bottom line is what we're trying to do is very simple. We're trying to get those fans there, and there's people talk all the time, not to get religious, but I will say this: how do most people pick a church? It's because I invite my friends, right? It's the same thing with football and sports. I've got guys right now that had never seen the ECU game. 2 come to mind. They were not traditional East Carolina guys that are ECU fans now because they've come the last 2 years to football games with me. And so I had an extra couple tickets. I said, hey, guys, you want to come with me?
And now when you start to win again, it's the time to be recruiting new fans.
Yep, exactly. We have a product to be – the thing that's disturbing for me is the Montgomery era. Matt, we didn't have a lot to sell, did we? That's the
understatement of the year right there.
We had a lot to give away. Nobody would take it though.
No, guys, you would not believe how many times I had extra tickets and nobody would take a free ticket during that time. Now, under Houston, they will, and so you're a perfect example of that. By the way, I think Shell was calling in about this because he's putting up here. He says, hey, Matt, your friend Jeff Carr is doing a lot of great things for the community. I'm helping him with a few things also to lead some incentives. I spoke to Dave about it. If you have a moment, I'd love to speak to you about it as well. I think what he's talking about is Jeff's sister has a charity for underprivileged kids there, I guess, in the Charlotte metro, where she's baking guys loaves of bread, and then people are buying them and taking them to different schools in the area. So I want to give a shout out to Jeff for doing that, and his sister. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Jeff, I don't know Jeff's sister's name, but that's just an awesome thing, and I appreciate.
Saying he loves the bread to schools and giving them away to children.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, so Michelle, anytime I'm happy to talk. Always happy to support former teammates. You know, Jeff's a great guy. Always help any way I can. We have another great guy on the show right now, Mark Libiano. You know, any former teammates, always happy to help out in any way. And, you know, definitely hit me up. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, they don't, like he's saying, they give them away. They don't charge for it, obviously. And so a great ministry, I guess, if you will, great charity. So I appreciate this. Like I told Shell about it, guys, it's pirates supporting pirates. Yeah. And you want to talk about Jeff Carr, and hey, is this like a linebacker show? We're talking about Jeff Carr. You have Matt Semenza, Mark Libiano, three of the greatest linebackers we've ever had. For sure.
Yeah, so, we'll put them all three. We'll start another show. We'll put them all three on the show together and call it the linebackers.
I don't know if I belong in the greatest, but I can talk. I'll say that. But
hey,
those guys are some great linebackers. So
yeah. Speaking of talking, and Matt, you were great, dude. I remember your playing days, and you're right. I'm sure you meant on the field as far as talking smack, but
no doubt.
Speaking of talking, one thing we have not talked about, and I guess we ought to address it. The basketball schedule came out today, and I'm good with it. Really, no complaints. You're going to play Florida in a so-called neutral site in Lakeland, Florida. You got South Carolina coming to Greenville. Got a road game with George Mason. You got Wilmington coming to Greenville. You got the Pirate Classic there, whatever it's called, the basketball tournament we're going to be hosting with Georgia Southern, Kennesaw, and Northeastern. So you got a Colonial team, a Sun Belt team, and Kennesaw. I'm not sure what league they're in now, but they're going to Conference USA next year.
Correct.
So not bad. But I got to question the season opener. Dave, tell everybody who we're opening the season with.
I thought, and I will say this. So I told you guys, I thought it was I thought it was a typo. I said it's got to be like Furman. You know, Kyle says Fordham. Yeah. The two of us thought it was a typo.
Dave,
I really
thought you were getting punked.
I did. Yeah, I did. I did not think it was a real school. But ladies and gentlemen, it's in the great state of Virginia, the Commonwealth. We're playing Shell Powell. This is his second favorite team. Ferrum,
Division III Ferrum.
Ferrum College. I know Shell. I've seen Shell before. He actually has a sweatshirt that says Ferrum. Okay, and so I don't want to
Division III Ferrum. Yes. I don't understand it. There needs to be an explanation for this. If it was an exhibition game, okay, but I don't understand why. Was there not a Division I game we could play at all? Couldn't we get anybody in here? I mean, any Division I team? It ain't as bad as Lebo. Lebo used to do like 2 and 3 Division II games a year, but one Division III game, maybe there's a reason behind it.
I think it's so. Well, I would say, this is my opinion. I want to have a Division I team, right? But I think basically that's a warm-up game. The same way if we have an FCS opponent.
You can play. Maybe. Well,
I have a theory on this.
I may be about to say your theory, Matt, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. You could open up with a super crappy Division I game, but it's going to bring your RPI or whatever the hell it's called in basketball. Baseball, we call it. Is it called RPI basketball also? Your strength of schedule. If you play somebody like I don't know, Coppin State, it could bring your strength of schedule RPI way down. Where if you play a Division III opponent, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't even count really. It'll count on your win and loss total, but when you're the NCAA tournament, the NIT tournament, do not count Division II and Division III wins. So it's like they didn't even happen when it comes to tournament time.
Okay, that's a good theory. We could go with that one.
What is yours, Matt?
my theory is a little different. I think maybe there's a personal relationship. Maybe Mike Schwartz knows somebody of somebody he coached with that is now coaching at, how do you say it?
Oh,
Ferrum? Is that what we say?
Ferrum, yeah.
yeah.
I don't like your theory. If we're playing
May-
Ferrum as a favor, screw all that noise.
I mean, that's the only thing I could come up with, because who the hell is Ferrum?
All
Exactly.
right. Hey, Alan Vick, here we go. He says Ferrum, he misspelled it first time, typo, is very known for their academics. Both my kids have been there for academic camps in their younger days, etc. Beautiful campus, lots of money to put in the facilities. Had no idea they play basketball, laughing out loud.
Division III.
Ferrum, baby.
I don't get it.
Ferrum.
I do not get it. No problem with the rest of the schedule. I am not. Nobody comparing. What's that idiot on Hoist the Colors?
Ori.
Ori, yeah. Don't compare me with Ori or any of us with Ori. We're not complaining about the we're not complaining about the basketball schedule. Just the one game, Ferrum. Does anybody know who Ori really is? Is any?
I think it's actually Matt. I think that's Matt's alter ego.
I think it's Bubba. I have a theory. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Bubba. Just kidding, Bubba.
It's like Matt's like trolling his own school.
It's Matt and Bubba, actually. They have a joint account and they take turns playing Ori.
It's like Matt has a bad day. He's like, fellas, I'm sorry. Look, I had a bad day. And then these jokers, I'm using that word, the clowns on the message boards were really getting at me. And I just had to go in and sign in under Ori and let him have it. Is that not right, Matt?
That's not Matt.
One way you'll know it's not me is because I don't have that kind of time in my life to research pers. It's always per minute, points per. I don't have that kind of time. I just don't.
Well, you have a wife and kids. You have a life.
That's right. That's right.
Here's Brandon. So I'm going to put this up on the screen because I need to explain this to Brandon and everyone that says this all the time. So ECU would be better off playing Duke, UNC, or State in basketball. Well, Brandon, that is correct. However,
they won't schedule us, Brandon.
The net, that is like the RPI, if you will, for basketball. I don't know why in the world they changed it in the net, but anyway. So if our RPI, which is now net, is so high, if you will, it's way up there.
So low is the better way to say.
Actually, yeah, low. That it hurts their strength of schedule to play us.
Yeah, and honestly, Dave, even if we get to the point where we're playing a little bit stronger schedule like we are this year, and we're a top 100 net team inside the top 100, they're still not going to play us. Be honest. I mean,
they would play us. They played Duke played ECU 2013.
Yeah, it's happened sporadically, but how many times they came to Greenville? NC State one time, and they ain't going to do it again. So no, it's not going to happen, and there's really nothing wrong with our non-conference schedule this year. Honestly, you could make an argument that you maybe like it a little bit more difficult, but you got two SEC opponents, one coming to Greenville.
Yeah,
you got George Mason out of the A10. You
Wilmington.
got
Wilmington.
You got Wilmington, which is a good rivalry game. Northeastern out of the Colonial, Georgia Southern out the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with our schedule. It's just that first game is it's hysterical. I mean, it's laughably hysterical. And I love Mike Schwartz, and look, this is not anything against Mike Schwartz. And like I said, I'm good with the rest of the schedule. But playing Ferrum, I did not see that coming.
Well, that's a surprise, and it gives us, I guess, the one good thing about it gives us something to talk about here on a Thursday night in August when we're not quite there as far as the football. But guys, I am just so excited that football season is just around the corner and going to Michigan. Matt, are you going to be able to make the trip to Michigan, to Ann Arbor?
Still up in the air. I have, I have 4 trips I need to take this fall for baseball tournaments. 2 are in Florida. So it's going to be tough to add in another trip to Michigan. But if I can do it, I'm going. It's a bucket list trip. So if I can do it, I'm going to try.
Are you making it to Greenville for a home game this year?
I'm definitely planning on making one game. Just not sure which one yet. It's probably going to be a game late October, November. If I can make it, yeah.
So you're talking Charlotte, Tulane, Tulsa. Who else is in there?
Tulane, I think, makes sense. I mean, that would be.
That's November 4th. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yep.
Charlotte, though, I mean, how ironic would it be? All the smack I've been talking about
Homecoming.
Charlotte for 2 years.
Biff, baby. I tell you what, I think Kyle was onto something. The more I thought about it, Kyle, I think I made this analogy. If I didn't, to me, I've been wanting to. If I haven't, to me, I think Biff is the ultimate heel, and East Carolina is the baby face. And so, in order in wrestling to have like a match, you have to have a baby face. You have to have a heel.
To them, I'm sure they're the baby face. I mean, it depends on who you ask.
The way comments he's making, man, he's definitely not a baby
he
face.
hasn't made any comments negatively towards East Carolina that I know of.
No. I'm just saying that he's,
right,
only three questions.
He's trying to draw attention to him. He's either a complete imbecile or he's he's one or the other. Like I said before, I'm not sure if he's going to be a great coach or the worst coach ever. There's going to be no in between. I don't think. I really don't. I think he's either going to be great or horrible. I really don't think there's going to be an in between.
No doubt. And we're trying really hard to, that October 21st. Matt, are you going to be able to come down for homecoming? Because
he just talked about that, Dave.
I didn't hear him. I'm sorry. I know you said you had to have. I know
possibly. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Okay.
It's a possibility.
I apologize. I didn't hear that. But yeah, that one's one October 21st.
Sorry, Dave. You're multitasking over there. I can
yeah.
see, you're looking for comments. You're doing a bunch of things.
Yeah, I apologize, guys.
It's all good.
Yeah, normally we have Bubba to I can lean on, but Bubba's taking the night off. I appreciate you, Bubba, very much, and miss having him on the show, but certainly understand. We've had a lot of content, a lot of stuff going on, and we're trying to get ready for.
Yeah, so we talk a little football. Practice reports from earlier this week. A couple of interesting notes to me. Coach didn't mention any of the transfer receivers. All the guys he talked about at receivers, the guys we already had here. So hopefully, those two boys don't end up being bust. Maybe they'll contribute. Maybe they won't. We'll see. He really obviously. Rajay Harris, he's big on the way he's come back from injury. It almost sounded like to me he wanted to say better. He was better than he was before he got hurt. He came out. He said everything but. I don't know if you heard it or not.
Sure did.
So good to hear that about Rajay. Sounds like Jalen Johnson's doing well. Also, it sounds like your boy Dave Josiah Hatfield is looking really good in practice. He's at his best. So maybe he'll finally live up to the glimpses we've seen. Just be consistent, Josiah. If you can just learn to be consistent, buddy, you're a playmaker.
Hey guys, last year I was speaking of bullish. I was very bullish on him, and I'm doubling down because I said this is his last year. Matt, I'm going to ask you that. How big of a deal is it when it comes to being a senior playing football at D1 level? Do you put more pressure on yourself knowing that, hey, man, I've only got 12, maybe 13 games left? Or do you think it's like you just, you say, hey, enough is enough. Don't worry about it. Just you go out there and you have nothing to lose?
Well, I kind of looked at it like it's now or never. I mean, it's literally now or never for Hatfield. And, I think that, he's been a little banged up in the past. He was a little.
He was injured a couple of years, right?
Yeah, years. He was. I mean, it just seemed to coincide with the start of the season. But he's got the ability. I think he's probably feeling really confident right now, having a good fall camp, and he knows it's his time. So hopefully he has a breakout year. We'll see what happens. I like to hear, though, that he's having a good camp. I mean, I think that's going to be big for the team. Yeah, he's one of the few guys that brings that vertical element where he can stretch the field.
And guys, we were talking about, the different positions in the quarterback play. He's the type of guy that if we want to win 7 games, maybe 8 in that range, he's going to have to. He's a guy that we've got to lean on, and he's one of those guys we talked about all the time. He's got a lot of talent. And we know that being banged up, but it's just consistency. I know that's a word we've used a lot with him, and consistency is the one way for him. Hey, you're a senior, you're a leader in that locker room. What is his speed, Matt? Like a 4.3? off the top. He
I
was
don't know if
right
he's
up
a
there.
4-3, but I think he's a legit. I think he's a legit 4-4. But if he
Okay.
can go 4-3, if he can run a legit 4-3, then that's world class speed right there.
Yeah. I know he's very fast. I just didn't know exactly where he lands. But the main thing is, again, as a receiver, it's great that you can have the speed, but you got to run the routes correctly, and you got to be able to really. The separation, I think, is something a lot of receivers at that level, the college level, don't do as a good job, don't you think? At times, I mean, or
Yeah,
maybe
no,
they
no doubt. I mean, I think a lot of young receivers, especially, they struggle to read defenses and make the
right.
right adjustments. And for him, I mean, he's well beyond that now. He should be able to pick up on anything that's thrown at him. And I did hear somebody say that he's just, at least right now at this point in fall camp, nobody can stick with him in man-to-man coverage. So
Wow.
that's a good sign too. Very good sign. The other guy too, Kyle and Dave, Jari Patterson, apparently, who was actually a pretty big-time recruit coming out of high school. He was a top 25 recruit in the state of North Carolina.
Wow. I didn't
Initially
know that.
he was a big recruit. Initially went to Marshall.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I remember the name now.
Yeah, he actually he played with Alex Flynn in high school. Alex Flynn was his quarterback, and so I guess things didn't work out at Marshall. He transferred here, and apparently he's done nothing but work hard for a few years, and now he's got his chance to shine. So another guy that's kind of off the radar that has a chance.
Well, that's what we built a living. That's what we made a living on. Guys that had the chip on the shoulder. So that to me is going to be great. I've got a couple more. Let me get this comment up to you. This is a great question. Brandon has which home game do y'all think is the most important? He says Tulane.
Most important, I guess it depends on, if the
Define
last game,
important.
if the last game of the year we're 5-6, then that Tulsa game becomes the most important game, to get to 6-6. So
It's too early to know.
it's hard to say. I will say, I'll say Marshall right now because it's the first one. I'll say Marshall is the first one. If you want to know the one there's two we must win. Gardner Webb and Charlotte. So
that Marshall game
it
is
just depends
huge.
on important. The biggest home game on paper is Tulane because of what they've done. If they repeat what they did last year, they'll be in the top 25 as they are to open the season when we play them in early November. So it just depends on the situation, what we're doing, what the opponent's doing. It's really hard to say what the biggest home game is going to be for this year. Right now, like I said, I'll say Marshall because it's the first one.
I agree with you, Kyle. I mean, that Marshall game, I don't know if people realize how big of a game that is.
Correct.
For you. That is a huge game. And I hope our fans turn out because, God, I must sound like a broke. I say this on almost every show, I feel like. But
well, you're staring 0-2 in the face and hitting into Boone. If
right. It could be 0-3.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's the point. Exactly. And,
And
in my opinion, you have got to win that game at home. We don't like the term must win, right? Especially when it's the second game. But that is a big, big game.
Yeah, and unless App, you got to win Marshall or App, and you would figure you stand a better chance of beating. Even though I think Marshall should be better than App, you get Marshall home. App's on the road. App doesn't lose very often in Boone, so yeah, that's a game that it's going to be tough, Matt. I wouldn't even be surprised if Marshall's favored in that game. But we need to try to find a way to win it. If we don't win it, then we're going to be desperate going into Boone. Which you never know. If we're a good desperate team, that could be a good situation to be in. But I'd rather be coming off a win against Marshall.
Yeah, we're literally one. That the first game is not going to me, the Michigan game. I mean, the ESPN gave us a 1% chance to win, a 1% chance. So then you have, like you said, the Marshall game. You feel like that's a 50-50 game, and then. As far as App State, I think we could beat App State, but on the road is, like you said, it's not easy to win there. But I do think I think the App State team is not as good as what we've seen in the past.
They shouldn't be. Phil Steele is bullish on them, and I trust Phil Steele as much as I trust anybody in terms of college football. So that's interesting to me that he's so bullish on them. I know they did pick up a lot at the portal. They got some former assistant coaches to come back that were there in the past, so they were more successful. So that also could contribute to him thinking they're going to have a big turnaround this year. But last year, people forget, man, they were 6-6.
Right.
Only 4 FBS wins, 2 were against
Right.
FCS. So and they at times last year, they couldn't stop anybody, and then their offense kind of started to go south. But they got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. It'll be interesting to see what happens. That game 3 is very interesting, but yeah, that Marshall game, and I think Pirate fans will turn out for that Marshall game, Matt. I think it's the home opener. Marshall's a team that their rivalry, their regional game, and because of the movie, they're a bit of a brand name.
Right.
People know the history of Marshall. I don't expect 50,000, but I do expect on the low end 36, on the high end 45,000. So somewhere in that range.
Yep, that would be it. That would be a great crowd if we can get 45. And I see that as a pick'em game, but Marshall's never won in Greenville.
Correct, but to me,
and
that
think
just means
that's
they're
the
due.
advantage.
I
think that's what odds makers are going to point to. Like I could see us being a 3-4 point favorite in that game, just because we're the home team.
I'm gonna. It depends on what happens week 1. We have a great showing against Michigan. Lose that game by like 20. Play well. Then I can see that. Otherwise, I would be willing to bet you Marshall's going to be about a 1 point favorite.
See, the thing for me is when you look at these teams and you look at Marshall, their defense is going to be good. But again, like you said, guys, when you look at the Gardner-Webb game, when you look at the Marshall game, when you look at SMU coming up, those, SMU is going to be one of the best ones. But if you look at the best teams in the league, obviously, but I know you guys.
I like getting them on a Thursday night. They got to travel from Dallas. I believe they play the Saturday before, if I'm not mistaken. You can check their schedule and see. If they do, I like that. I think we play Rice the Saturday before.
That's correct.
So but we will be at home. Even though we have to play on the road the week before, we will be at home. SMU's that's a long road trip for a Thursday night game. But can one of you, or I'll pull it up myself. You guys hold tight. I'm gonna pull up SMU schedule real fast.
That's what I was
going to see who they play the week before.
Yeah, Matt. As far as our schedule is concerned, when you're looking at how I say it every year, but our September schedule, we have got to. Man, if there's some way that we could be 3-2, 4-1, the Michigan game, I'm not counting on. But that Rice game, I know you talked about how there's going to be about 10 fans, maybe 50 fans to be generous
at most, and they'll all be Pirates, by the way.
Exactly. The great state of Texas, of course. The Houston, the city of Houston is awesome, but for me, that game is tricky because the fact of there's no fans there. But I keep hearing about Rice is a lot better than people are taking them credit for. I know they were a bowl team. I'm not knocking. It's not like I think they're a cupcake and that East Carolina is going to easily go in there. But I just have a feeling about our team. I just have a feeling that when you're talking about Marshall, you're talking about App State, Gardner-Webb. It's a situation where if we can play well against Marshall, and then you win that App State game, you feel good about Gardner-Webb. You could be 3-1 going to that Rice game as well.
Yeah, and you like to think that in year 5 under Mike Houston, we're going to be good enough in the trenches where,
right,
like in the past, right? We've had teams go down to Rice into that stadium with nobody there and literally get blown out.
Well, once
that's happened.
Once, right?
Ruff's first year, yeah.
I like to think that in year 5 we're going to be good enough in the trenches, especially defensively. Now the O-line, there's some more question marks, but I think the front 7 on defense, I think, is going to be able to keep us very competitive in most games.
Correct.
So that's what I'm kind of leaning on when we play these teams like Rice and
Charlotte.
Charlotte and these teams like this, App State. I do think
App State will probably be able to match us.
they will. I think, App State, not to get too far into analyzing that game, but if you can stop the outside zone stretch,
Yep.
you can then set yourself up, because what they like to do is hit you with the stretch and then go play action off of that. And they torched us with it in Charlotte a few years back. If
In
you guys
21.
And they're back to doing more of that with the return of their old offensive coordinator.
But for me though, guys, I
wanted to go back before we get too far off subject from it. SMU, actually, we play at Rice. They play Charlotte in Dallas the 29th of September. Then we're both off the following Saturday and play Thursday night, October 12th. So we're both off before that game, but they do have to travel to Dallas, but they won't be coming off of the Saturday game. We're both off before that game. But go ahead.
I still like our chances. I really think
we'll know a lot more about us and SMU by the time we play that game.
Of course, and it's painted black that night, Thursday night. I like our chances. I really do. I think it again. Our fans, we may get 35,000 that night. Wish we could get more, but Thursday is so hard. I know we do it for TV, for the money, but man, Thursday night.
If the weather's good, the students normally show up for Thursday night.
Yeah, they will definitely be there. I feel confident. Is that fall break?
God, I hope not.
Now that I'm looking at that, looks like around fall break, or maybe fall break is a week before. But man, I hope that's not the case. But we'll see for sure. If you have a question or comment, you can put it up there. I know, guys, we're at an hour now, a little bit over an hour, and we had a guest, but unfortunately had a family emergency. So we kind
of talked about everything that needs to be talked about, unless somebody has anything else.
Wrap this puppy up.
There you go.
Yeah, one more. I do have one more comment I want to put on this real quick before we got out of here. I forgot to get this from Shell. He says, "How about Gavin Williams rolling the show?" Shell and I are huge fans of Gavin Williams and doing great for the Guardians. Great for the Guardians.
Good for Gavin. Good for the Indians.
Look out for Connor Norby with the Orioles. The Orioles or the O's are so hot right now. You have, of course, Burley with the Cardinals. Yeah. Matt, do you ever with baseball and Kyle? The Cardinals just make me sick. And you say, Dave, why do you say that? Because they have probably the best farm system in all of Major League Baseball. I'm not like envious of them, but
why does that make you sick? That's just good management.
No. Because I don't pull for the Cardinals. I'm happy for Burley. I think that. And by the way, thank you, Monica. It's not fall break. Fall break is October 7th. Thank you. I was hoping
good. That means he'll be back on campus.
That's good. Thank you, Monica. She's one of the best, and I look forward to your calls in the fifth quarter too. By the way, I got one.
Really quick on Gavin Williams, Dave. And
I look forward to Monica's calls on the Pirate Playback. Dammer calls on the fifth quarter.
There you go, Monica. We're going to be able to do that this fall. We're going to be taking calls.
Go ahead, Matt. I didn't mean to step on you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always look forward to Monica's calls. She's always welcome. But I was going to say, the Gavin Williams you guys mentioned, if you go back, Bubba and I actually checked this out a few weeks ago. Go back and check out that Vandy game in the Super Regional from a few years ago, Gavin Williams versus Rocker. That was a big-time game, man. That was a
major league game. I don't care what anybody says. That was a major league game.
I can't go back and watch that. I can't deal with the whistler.
Damn, that whistler. I hate that whistler.
That's annoying.
That was as good of in terms of pitching, as good of a college game as you'll see.
And speaking of, go ahead,
I'm just really happy Gavin Williams is a big-time talent. Talent. Just happy to see him blowing up in the MLB.
Speaking of Pirates and Pros, 10 o'clock NFL Network, Holt Naylor, Seattle Seahawks, NFL Network, 10 o'clock for the world to see.
In fact, Alan Vick, thank you, Kyle. You read my mind. He says, how much playing time do you think Holton will get tonight?
I would think significant.
Yeah, usually the first game, Geno Smith probably won't even play tonight, the first string quarterback. And I'm trying to think of the second string. Oh my gosh, Morgan was talking about last Saturday, but he lost the starting job. There you go, Locke. Yeah, so he's the second string quarterback. I would say that my personal my guess would be that he gets most of the reps, and Holton
Second
will
half.
get some. What?
I think Holton will get a lot of the second half reps. But you're right, Drew Lock. Where did Drew Lock play college ball, guys?
He played at Missouri, and
Okay, I was thinking Midwest.
I'll tell you, like, you're gonna laugh at this too, Kyle. That draft, I turned out to be wrong, but I thought he was maybe the best quarterback coming out, and that he was a tremendous college quarterback.
Yeah, I remember him well. I just could not remember. Midwest is all I could think.
It's going to be on the NFL Network, so make sure you check that out here in about, so if you're watching live at 10 Eastern.
And if you don't have NFL Network, it's also going to be available if you're a Prime member on Amazon Prime.
All right, so
yep.
I have that. I definitely have that, so I'll be able to check it out. Guys, do you have anything before we go? I'm going to get some more drink here before not a pirate beverage, but some another Pepsi. Do you guys have anything before we get out of here?
No, we've kind of beat that horse to death. Talked about everything needed to be talked about. Expansion still hasn't played out yet, guys. Keep watching it. Maybe things will break our way, and we'll get some Pac-12 members in the American, Washington State, Oregon State. Who knows? At this point, I think all things are still on the table.
And ECU leadership, be vocal, speak up. You know, this is not the time to sit back in the shadows and be silent. And that's all I have to say about it.
All right, I agree 100%. In fact, this is the time that you need to be the most vocal. Sell your program, sell the team. That's how you sell tickets. If you're out there saying, we're going to be doing this, we're going to build this, we're going to, just like you, that's why the Pirates Unite campaign is going very well, is because of that very thing of they've done a good job with getting the word out about that, the $60 million project, 5 projects. And we need to get that. We need people to donate money to the baseball project expansion and to the indoor practice facility. Those two are desperately needed right now. Make it happen. You can go to ecpirateclub.com. You can or call 252-737-4540. That, and don't forget to get your season tickets. You can still get them at 1-800-DIAL-ECU, or you can go to ecpirates.com. All right. Appreciate Miss Bubba tonight. He'll be back with us soon. He's taking the night off.
Hey, one more quick thing.
Okay.
Then we really are going to get out here. We have not mentioned this on the air to my knowledge. Big Game Boomer. Everybody follows Big Game Boomer there on Twitter. You go follow him. Great guest the other week. He ranked his best podcast for every school, had the Sports Objective as the best podcast, which, you know, that might not have meant much in the past, but now that I goes in the game with the Hoist Colors podcast, it actually means something. So I appreciate Big Game Boomer calling us the best ECU podcast. And so go if you don't follow Big Game Boomer on Twitter, go give him a follow. Check out his content. He does podcast also, and always has a great list. So
in fact, speaking of which,
for that honor.
Thank you. That was great, Big Game Boomer. And by the way, guys, we'll get out here. He actually has a list of the best mascots for college football. Petey coming in at number 26. So I think should be higher.
Respectable.
But that is respectable out of 130, where he gives us number 26. So Big Game Boomer, thank you for that. All right, we'll get out of here.
See, I got to add one more thing now, Dave. I'm going to give you conversely the worst mascot. You ready?
Tulsa.
The Stanford tree.
The tree of knowledge, but that Tulsa that Tulsa acorn head man is pretty stupid too.
We need to have a debate on that. We'll do that at a future show. The best mascots and the worst mascots. We can do that very soon. I love it.
I've never understood what the hell Tulsa's mascot had to do with a hurricane. It just looks retarded. Well, I don't get supposed to say that word anymore, but it looks stupid.
All right, there you go.
See, Kyle, you corrected yourself. You know, it wasn't.
Well, you know what? When it comes to that, I would not want to offend anybody that has any children that may be on the spectrum or have any kind of mental disabilities. I'm generally sensitive to that. So, other things I really don't give a damn about.
All right, we'll get out of here before we have any lawsuits. For Kyle, Matt, and for me, I'm Dave Richmond. As always, want to say good night and go Pirates.
I'm a pirate down in my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode, from the sidelines down to the post. Put it down like not even close, all out to the last whistle blow. From the flag every foot, every yard, every first down, every touchdown.